Have you ever wondered how we keep time in sync with Earth's slowing rotation? It's not as simple as you might think. We actually have to add a leap second every few years to keep our clocks in check. Or how about this? Do you know how sometimes you notice a flicker in your peripheral vision? That's because your brain processes light differently there, almost like you've got a fly's eye view of the world. And speaking of strange, did you know time moves slower at the Earth's core than it does on the surface? Time isn't just a straight line. It's a mind-bending maze of paradoxes and peculiarities that shape our reality in ways you've never imagined. Here are 5 random facts that will completely change your mind. 5. Your language shapes your sense of time. Did you know the way you talk can change how you perceive time? In English, we use phrases like, "It's been a long time," or "We'll catch up shortly," like time is a path we're walking on. But in Greek and Spanish, people think of time more like something that piles up. They might say, "It's been a lot of time since we last saw each other." This tiny difference doesn't just change how we talk, it changes how we see the world. And if you're bilingual, you get the best of both worlds. Scientists have actually found that bilinguals can switch between these different ways of thinking just by switching languages. 4. Time can eventually run out. The universe isn't just growing, it's getting older too. And that means time is changing along with it. Right now, time moves forward thanks to something called the arrow of time, which began with the Big Bang. It's all about entropy, basically, how messy things get. When the universe was young, everything was pretty tidy. But as it ages, things get more chaotic, like how cracking an egg is easy, but putting it back together, not so much. One day, when everything reaches maximum chaos, time might just stop moving altogether. No past, no future, just a frozen universe. 3. You're a time traveler, just not the sci-fi kind. Is time travel possible? Absolutely. You're doing it right now, cruising into the future 1 second at a time. Whether you're stuck in traffic or enjoying time with friends, you're always moving forward at the same steady pace. But that's not the kind of time travel that gets moviegoers excited. Sci-fi stories like Back to the Future and Doctor Who take things to a whole new level, with characters hopping into fancy machines to visit the past or future. While these stories love exploring what happens when you mess with timelines, no one has actually figured out how to pull off this kind of time hopping without, getting obliterated. Even Stephen Hawking joked that if time travel were possible, we'd already have tourists from the future clogging up the present. For now, science has shown that time can bend a little, like how astronauts age a bit slower in space. But those sci-fi dreams are still just that, dreams. 2. Time feels different for everyone. Have you ever noticed how time flies for some people but drags for others? It's not just about being bored or excited. We'll get into that later. It turns out our brains just don't see time the same way. Stuff like how we were raised, our culture, and even where we live can change how we experience it. The phenomenon is known as inter-individual differences in perception. So, if you're at a party that seems to end too soon but someone else thinks it's dragging, it's not just about having fun. It's just your brain doing its own thing. 1. Why time drags when you have unfinished business? Do you ever find yourself obsessing over that one thing you didn't finish? It's called the Zygarnik effect. Your brain just can't let it go, which is why those incomplete projects keep popping into your head, even when you're trying to relax. This mental nagging doesn't just mess with your focus. It can actually make time feel like it's stretching out. The more your mind loops back to that unfinished business, the longer it seems to take. You may find that delaying a half-done task is not just frustrating, but it can also drag on for quite some time. That's a wrap for today. Follow us for more facts.